Maybe you ask a student how they are, how was their previous class, and they just say, fine. To me, fine means that something needs to be shaked up. There's not any friction, whether positive or negative. It's just fine. And we really can't innovate if our teaching and our students' feelings about our teaching is that it's all just fine. So, what do we do when we're stuck in the cycle of fine? Sometimes we need to move. We need to change the physical environment in which we are doing our teaching and learning. So, when you're feeling like things aren't changing, when you're feeling like you just need to do something different, you have to change your environment. When we get stuck in the monotony, we aren't able to do the problem solving and creative thinking required for innovation. Fine is bad for you and your students. And it's hard to have hope in this environment when it feels like nothing ever changes. It's just monotony. And monotony breeds apathy for students and burnout for you as an educator. It's the feeling of being a cog in the wheel rather than the artist, the creator, the facilitator. So, change the environment. I found that changing the environment for myself and for my learners triggers some creative and innovative thinking. First off, when you change the environment, whether that is how the space is set up or the location of the teaching and learning, it often removes the front of the room hierarchy. If you're sitting in a circle outside, there's no head of the class or teacher standing over all the students. If you change up your seating so that maybe everyone's on the carpet or there's a long boardroom table, again, it's changing up that feeling of a hierarchy and a sense of power that may or may not be called out. My personal favorite, if I need to change up space and place for my students, is to sit in a circle outside. I recognize that not everyone has access to maybe clean or safe spaces to do that. Move your class anywhere where you can all sit and look at each other in a circle. I experienced this recently when the fire alarm went off. As in many public schools, the fire alarm will get pulled, the fire alarm will get set off from vaping in the bathroom. Random fire alarms are not uncommon. I had my 12th graders in my class, and the fire alarm went off, and I said, bring your assignment with you. So we went outside, and we were there for all of 2 minutes before we were told we could go back inside. And I said, let's stay here and sit in a circle and share our assignment. And we did. We sat, there's no desks between us, there's no someone in front of the room, there's no divisions of groups. We all just sat in the sun and shared our assignment, which was talking about what we want our future to look like. This opened up a whole conversation with my students of how they could be the activators of their future, how they could initiate things to start exploring different options that might be good for them, that might support them, that might be something they had never thought of before for after they graduate high school. This transition from the assignment into a deeper discussion of dreams and wants and feelings of not being able to do things, but really wanting something, I don't think could have happened if we were in the classroom. But when we were outside looking at each other, realizing that we were all kind of in the same boat together, this feeling of what comes next, it changed things. As we were walking back inside, a student said to me, I feel so close to everyone. I wish we had more of that. And it really made me wonder why it took a fire drill for me to do that. Sometimes the different setting, space, setup can be spontaneous, like my story, or sometimes it's intentional. I would say one of the pieces of magic with it is not overusing it. It's not every day, it's not even every week, but we use it. And when we take our learners outside or into a different environment, we still must maintain the same standards as we have in our classroom. I have high schoolers in my classroom who often ask, "Can we go outside and play soccer?" No, we are a learning community. We are here to learn. So if we're going to go outside or go to the library or go sit in the theater, if we're going somewhere new, we are still that learning community with those same standards upheld so that we can continue our learning. And making sure that you uphold that this is still learning can bring out in students new things. Students who are silent may start to talk. Students who don't sit next to each other or avoid each other may end up looking across the circle at each other. And when you, as the educator, sit cross legged side by side with students, you become a co creator, co collaborator with them rather than just a manager of learning. I really think there is such value if we are able to, and our students are able to sit on the floor together. I think it's valuable for adults. I think it's valuable for anyone, any age, if they're willing and able to sit on the floor, sit in the grass, and look at each other. So, how can you shake things up? How can you get out of the monotony? And how can you make this shifting space and setup happen? Here are a few ideas. Take your PLC or department on a walk around the school track. Instead of sitting in another classroom where we've already been all day, have the meeting while you're walking. You might even have some new ideas emerge. Try swapping rooms with another teacher. Can you take your class to the art room and the art teacher can take their class to your room? Or can you borrow another teacher's class on a planning period? What happens when you take the English class to an art room, or you take the science class to the track, or you take the history class to the math room? You never know what might start coming together, what conversations might emerge just by changing classrooms. Use the bleachers or a courtyard for your next debate. If you have class discussions or Socratic seminars often, can you again uphold that academic rigor, that fact that you and your learners are a learning community while being in a different setting? Another idea is, how can you use a different environment to enhance or affirm what you are teaching kids? If you're teaching kids something about physics, can you do the classic dropping things off a balcony and see how long it takes them to reach the ground? Or if you're in a science class, can you go outside and look at the leaves and do some hands on learning in a different environment? It doesn't have to be far, it doesn't have to be a field trip, but how can you connect the teaching and learning happening in your classroom to somewhere outside of the four walls of your classroom? So, your task this week is to find one 20-minute window where you can move your learners or move your team. And when you do that, think about, how does the energy shift? Who engaged in a new way? And what did it do for you as a facilitator? This is a short episode this week. It is the start of 2026. And sometimes I think the smallest things can make the biggest differences when the world is on fire, when we're feeling anxious, when we're feeling like there is quicksand under our feet. Sometimes all we need to do is get outside under a tree with our learners and sit in a circle and talk about our dreams. If you have some ideas after today's episode, make sure to follow the show so you don't miss what's next. Leaving a quick review really helps us reach more innovative educators. Join us next Tuesday.